Hello, and welcome to Ohio Gozaimasu, THK Manufacturing of America's series on Japanese language and culture. I am Justin. Last time, we talked about numbers, and we learned to count all the way up to 99. We also touched on the topic of telling time. In this episode, we're going to review time, so let's first begin by reviewing numbers 1 through 12 and adding the word ji that means o'clock onto the end.
Please repeat after the native speaker to practice saying the numbers 1 through 12. There is kanji for these numbers, but it is also common to use Arabic numerals just like we do in English.
1 2 3 4 4 5 6 7 7 8 9 10 11 12
As a reminder, 4 o'clock and 9 o'clock have some special forms. If you remember, 4 can have two different numbers. It can be pronounced shi or yon. But in time, it specifically only uses yon, and it loses the end to become yoji. For 9 o'clock, 9 as a number is usually kyu, but in time, it gets shortened to ku. So 9 o'clock is kuji. 7, like 4, can have two different forms as a number. It can be shichi or nana. In time, it keeps both forms, but shichiji can be kind of hard to pronounce or hear sometimes, so you may hear nanaji as well.
Please repeat after the native speaker to practice saying the hours on a clock. Just as before, there is kanji for these numbers, but it is also common to use Arabic numerals just like in English to say the time.
1時2時3時4時5時6時7時8時9時10時11時12時
But what if you want to say AM or PM? The word for AM in Japanese is gozen, a combination of the kanji for noon and before. The word for PM is go, a combination of noon and after. In Japanese, these terms are attached before the time. So, for example, 7 a.m. would be gozen nanaji. 2 p.m. would be gogo niji. Now that we have the words that we need, let's learn how to ask what time it is. When we want to ask what time it is now, ima, we mark the topic with topic particle wa. Then we add question word nani plus ji time to ask what time. We use the verb des, the Japanese word for is, at the end of the sentence plus question particle ka with rising intonation to make it a complete question. So to ask, what time is it now? In Japanese, we say, Ima wa nanji desu ka? Now let's learn how to answer that question. To say what time it is, in Japanese, you simply say the time plus des. So to say 5 o'clock, or it is 5 o'clock, you simply say go ji desu.
今は何時ですか5時です
You can change the event marked by particle wa, it was ima earlier, to other things like meals, meetings, so on, to ask when that event will occur. The rest of the pattern remains the same. The only thing you are changing is the event. So, if we were to change the event to breakfast to ask what time breakfast is, what do you think it would be in Japanese? That's right. You only change ima with asagohan for breakfast. So, to ask when is breakfast would be asagohan wa nanji desu ka? How would you answer if breakfast for you is at 6? Again, the pattern for answering remains the same, and repeating the event is optional. Now, what if you wanted to say it was at 6 a.m.? That's right, you would say 午前6時です。
朝ごはんは何時ですか？6時です。
Let's practice asking and answering when events occur. In this exercise, we will ask, what time is it now? What time is breakfast, which in Japanese is also gohan, which means morning meal? What time is lunch, which is hiru gohan, which means noontime meal? And what time is dinner, which is ban gohan, which means evening meal?
今は何時ですか？
今は午前2時です。
朝ごはんは何時ですか？
朝ごはんは午前6時です。
お昼ごはんは何時ですか？
お昼ごはんは午後12時です。
晩ごはんは何時ですか？
晩ごはんは午後5時です。
Today, we learned how to use numbers in Japanese to tell what time it is in hours. Join us next time to add minutes to time, as well as to introduce some of our first verbs in Japanese.
This is editor Alexis. Just wanted to pop in one more time to say a big thank you to all of you for joining us for this episode of Ohio Gozaimasu. We really look forward to the next installment, and we hope you do too. So please continue to follow us, like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Bye!